Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here with the Haas Road to Glory once again, this time around with episode 10 and the British Grand Prix of course. If you missed out on the video that went live towards the end of last week from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out of course as well. I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you for the continued support of course. I'm pretty certain this will be the last Haas Road to Glory going out in 2022. So yeah, just a massive thanks to all of you for the insane support over the course of this year. You know, we started 2022 with about 30,000 subscribers. We're almost at 100k come the end of the year. It's just absolutely been mind-blowing. So yeah, you guys have just genuinely, I know I've said it before, but you have actually changed my life this year as well. But we got some important upgrades going on to the car ready, or hopefully going on to the car ready for the British Grand Prix. Championship-wise, Max Verstappen, 14-point lead at the top of the table, but Charles Leclerc just 1 point behind us as we head in towards this weekend's action. Sergio Perez, Lando Norris, George Russell, they're all proving they've got very good pace in their cars as well. So this one is certainly not going to be easy to predict at this stage of the championship. But are we going to see those upgrades then go onto the car successfully? The calipers have gone on. We're even got some R&D resource points as well. And we've even got an aerodynamic event. So let's wait and see then. There we go. Both upgrades onto the car. That means now we've got 3,500 resource points to try and get some other upgrades going on. So we'll go with the additional diffuser strikes. And hopefully we'll be able to do a chassis upgrade as well. Nope, nothing there available at the moment. We'll try and do an oil pump upgrade. We don't really need any extra power from the car at the moment, so I suppose we can have a look at durability as well, shouldn't we? Before we head into Silverstone, yeah, we'll go with an ICE reliability upgrade as well there. So plenty of work going into the car and the team at the moment. But let's get into it though. British Grand Prix qualifying. This track, again, hopefully, will suit our car. Right, well, here we are then, back at Silverstone, of course, for our home Grand Prix, and feel that there's a lot of homegrown favourites this weekend, of course. We've got myself down at Haas, second overall in the Drivers' World Championship. George Russell, of course, won the Canadian Grand Prix last weekend. Lando Norris has been fast all year, and can you ever really discount Lewis Hamilton? I don't really think you can there. We'll wait and see as to whether it's going to be one of us four on pole, or perhaps even someone different as we head out for our first qualifying lap then. The Haas does feel quite quick around here. Once more, of course, plenty of horsepower coming through the rear tyres, but it also feels a little bit loose and lively again. You can just see as we head out of the loop around, to be really careful on the throttle. It is a car that, yeah, is fast but loose. I think it's probably the right way to describe it, and since it's an American team, we'll give it some American explanations, I guess. Towards Maggots and Beckett, so the grip and speed you can carry through here. Probably better off downshifting one through the first part, make sure we get the nose tipped where we need it, and then on the exit you can see a 103.3 at the end of the second sector. A few cars have already finished their first runs. I didn't quite see what the times were looking like at the moment as we head down the end of the hangar straight. Just try and keep the car between the white lines. They're braking at the 100 metre board for the final few corners of the lap. Of course, the corner now made famous. Through goes Hamilton. There's 26.7 by Checo Perez. 26.9 by ourselves. Just like Canada, we're behind the Red Bulls after the first runs. We're trying to find some free track space as best as possible here, but we have got to get on with it. Ready to start our final run here of qualifying as we head through the final couple of turns. We've really got to hope Sainz gets out of the way. Of course, took pole in the real-life Grand Prix, but 3 seconds left then as we cross over the start-finish line. And yeah, like I said, we did get out of the way for Carlos. Hopefully he'll do the same for me. Yes, he will. We've got, I think it's our former teammate Mick Schumacher, next car just in front, but we need to concentrate on this lap and try and get it nailed. We don't need much time, but are we going to see more cars improve? way through the final couple of turns, so I've got to be careful on the throttle out of the final corner, but this is going to be pole position for our home Grand Prix there. Half a second up in the end. Love that. We've really got the first sector nailed. The rest of the lap was still pretty good, but I will take that.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three. Mr. Monaco, Perez and Max Verstappen. Goodbye for now then, but really we're just getting started. Make sure to join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
Well, I've got no idea what's going on with Kevin Magnussen at the moment. Down in 12th place, 1.3 seconds away from pole there. But we do beat out the Red Bulls once again. However, didn't quite work out for us last time round in Canada. So got to make sure we keep it clean and tidy. No big risks at the start here. We need to take points out of Max Verstappen at our home race. So let's get into it then. British Grand Prix time.
Welcome along then to Great Britain and the Great Silverstone Circuit for today's Grand Prix. The 3.6 miles of Silverstone Circuit in Great Britain is hallowed ground to the Formula One faithful. We have 18 corners that wrap around this former World War II airbase and some good passing opportunities at the end of the DRS zones. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Carlos Sainz and Leclerc, Russell, Ricciardo, Hamilton and Alex Albon, Bottas, Magnussen, Pierre Gasly and Stroll, Ocon, Mick Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel and Guan Yu Zhou, Tsunoda and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
I know this is your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Let's not make any unnecessary risks.
And you know what? Mark's speaking sense. We cannot take big risks today. We have got to just try and look in the long game. Of course, big title battle going on between myself and Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. And you never know, of course, if we start having some inconsistent races as well. You know, the likes of Lando Norris, he's been brutally consistent early on this year there to mean that he's not too far away from the front runners if McLaren can give him a car that can deliver there. But the second weekend in a row then we're starting from pole. This time round, can we try to convert it? Sergio Perez alongside me. We've just got to keep it clean and tidy down at T1. Dictating the pace then as we head through the final corner. Of course, the front straight at Silverstone really does open itself up to you. This is quite a special place in the world of Formula One there. And I mean, that's quite a special way to try and put some heat into the tyres as well. As purple on the lineup then, I'm really not going to try and worry too much about Sergio at the start. I'm a little bit more focused on trying to keep Verstappen at bay then as we wait on the TV to round out the grid. Only 1 seconds off the pace. The whole pack is pretty tightly spread at the moment on F122, but getting ready then for those 5 red lights here at Silverstone. Lights out and away we go, and rather unpredictably Sergio Perez will move up the inside there, but here comes Verstappen down the outside at turn 1, but we are going to keep the nose there alongside the Dutchman as we try and use plenty of battery there, try and keep him at bay. Into the loop, we'll go very aggressive on our braking and defence there. Charles Leclerc, he needs to try and get himself in the mix as well, of course, just 1 point behind me in the championship right now, but whoa! Oh! The Haas car, it still will try to break free at any given opportunity there. Like I said in qualifying, fast but loose, and almost looping it out of the loop on lap 1 is not the way to go in this Grand Prix there, but we hang on to it. We do actually keep it pretty much between the white lines as well there, if I'm not mistaken. But Sergio Perez is already sensing an opportunity to try and break free at the front of the field. Charles Leclerc is also on soft compound tyres, which is quite interesting. So if we can try and pull away a little bit from Max, maybe we can leave him under pressure from Charles just behind me as we head up in towards Maggotts and Beckett's for the first time. Now we've got a bit of temperature into the tyres. Come on, a little bit of understeer there, but not too bad. Sergio Perez, maybe he's just going to try and do what he did at Baku a couple of weekends ago there and absolutely just dominate from the front of the field. But once again, the top end speed of this Haas car, I don't think anyone can really compete with us at the moment, consistently week in, week out. It has just got so much horsepower from this Ferrari power unit as we head through the final couple of turns. So Sergio Perez, yeah, will lead at the end of that one then, 32.6, 1.2 seconds behind him, but Verstappen is still absolutely breathing down my neck. I must admit, I know in a lot of recent videos I've been given some stick towards F122, but Silverstone is so improved from previous games. You know, this track is brilliant fun, you know, it's full of history, it's an icon in the world of F1, and it was always a nightmare trying to do it on F121 at least, because of course just the AI had impossible levels of downforce. So I'm certainly not going to shy away from giving Code his criticism, but also when it's due, you know, they have made some very good tweaks in some places on F122 there as we set new fastest lap of the day, trying to close in on Sergio Perez as we head through the loop. We've got to try and get within that DRS range, that's going to be key, as Verstappen just falling away ever so slightly, but certainly not enough yet that I think the Dutchman's got to worry. No flags out. Someone else has got issues early on in this GP. Who's that going to be? Oh, I think it's one of the Ferraris. I want to say it's Carlos Sainz going slowly on the mini-map there. So Carlos Sainz, been a fairly quiet season so far from the Spaniard, and he is out of the British Grand Prix on just lap 3 as we have now made it within inside the DRS range of Sergio Perez. So he's going to be under increasing pressure over these next few laps, but Charles Leclerc perhaps already struggling a little bit on those softs, or being told to nurse them, or perhaps a car issue. You never know what's going on down at Ferrari. But Sainz out of this GP is now really trying to just push the envelope a bit more with Sergio Perez. Look at the straight line speed we've got as we head down the hangar straight there to the inside of Checo, who is going to try and give me a bit of a squeeze there. He's definitely running a lot more downforce than me. He's a lot quicker through the corners as he cuts us off in towards the final chicane, but Sergio Perez still holding on to the lead for now. But yeah, if we can get a good enough run close enough to him, surely there's going to not be much that the Mexican can do. And Max Verstappen still just waiting, ready to try and pick up the pieces if anything is to happen. I would like to hope that the home crowd are loving this as we keep pushing Sergio Perez along at the moment, really trying to stop the Red Bull cars from taking another victory this season. Of course, we've had a couple of wins to our name. To the outside this time round then of Checo as we head down the back straight. So many iconic moves down the end of the hangar straight, and that might well be another one as we try keep the car between the white lines on the exit. Sergio Perez is not going to give up without a fight, of course, and I'm sure he will stay close. But we're back into the lead then of the British Grand Prix. Still very, very early doors, but the top 4 covered by 1 second. This is going to be a battle for the ages, I fear. Now I wonder whether Max Verstappen's getting on the radio to his team, telling them to let him pass Sergio, or whether they're just telling Sergio to keep fighting at the moment. They're all dropping back ever so slightly. Perez definitely, unless I do something, has not got the pace to get back round me at the moment, but they might also just be looking after their tyres. Sergio's not exactly known for being bad on his tyres either, is he? Always know what the smooth operator... No, he's not the smooth operator, I apologise. The Minister of Defence, isn't he? But, yeah, back when I was getting into Formula 1, or back when I was watching it in the early 2010s, he was a bit more of a tyre whisperer. So we go purple through Sector 1. Let's see if we can try. Oh, we have opened the gap up to a second. Is this now our opportunity to break away? So there we go. Verstappen now has moved past Sergio Perez just behind us. So I wonder if that was a formation move by the Milton Keynes-based squad as we start lap 8. Oh no, it's not over just yet. Perez trying to come back at him as we set another new fast lap of the day. Perez and Verstappen side by side over the start-finish line then, so maybe Sergio has decided, you know what, I'm not just going to sit back and be the number 2 in this organisation. I'm sure Christian Horner Oh, not a fan of this at the moment. Of course, yeah, Max Verstappen in a big championship battle. Checo not quite, I don't think, in that battle this year. And look how much time they've immediately cost each other. Verstappen has now made it through, but they've lost close to 2 seconds in a lap. That is perfect for us and a nightmare for Red Bull. Oh, Verstappen's gone. What's happened to the Dutchman? I've just seen him on the mini-map, flying off the circuit on the mini-map. Where is he done? I'm well aware there my commentary was absolutely awful. I meant to say where is he going on the mini-map, as Max Verstappen, big lock-up then down in the final couple of corners, almost takes out Charles Leclerc, but the Dutchman, as soon as he's made that move work, as I think, yeah, Charles immediately jumped into the pit lane, Max Verstappen clearly struggling under pressure. As I said, Charles Leclerc then jumps into the pit lane, but shoutouts as well to Kevin Magnussen. I hadn't noticed on the mini-map either. And our teammate has actually made up a bit of progress early on, so maybe he just had another nightmare qualifying. But still not what we really want from him. He needs to be fighting up towards the front. Bring back Baku, Kevin. That's what I say. And if Charles Leclerc then can get the hammer down, he might have a good opportunity to get back past both Red Bulls at the moment. There's 10 seconds ahead of Kevin. Alex Albon now peels into the pit lane as well. So it's now myself, both Red Bulls, and both McLarens inside the top 5. McLaren, they're getting there. They just need a little bit more to be fighting for wins. So there we go, Verstappen again making another move on Sergio Perez. Then those two Red Bulls are still just tripping over each other a little bit more than they would have wanted, as this is now our pit-in lap. Verstappen though back up to P2, and yeah, I don't know whether they're just burning through their tyres or whether Checo's just been struggling. They have really tripped over themselves so far in this Grand Prix. There's still plenty more racing laps to go though. You know, a safety car can absolutely wipe out our lead. I'm sure Charles Leclerc doesn't want one of those right now. As Perez again coming back at the Dutchman. What on earth is going on down at Red Bull? They're squabbling so much and it's just even more time lost for them. I'm loving it, I'll be honest, but I mean, Charles Leclerc could move up into P2 with all this going on. Oh, and into the pits will come then at the end of lap 12. And when will Red Bull get a handle on those two drivers? I mean, I'm not too worried. I don't know why I keep saying it. But still, it is quite interesting to see what's going on down there. It's nice and easy into the pit lane. We don't need to take any big risks with the lead we've got at the moment. Max Verstappen then will be the first Red Bull car in, and it will be his old teammate Daniel Ricciardo that peels into the pit lane as well. We should have we definitely should have a big enough gap that we won't get held up behind any of these cars. There is one of the Mercs now peeling into the pit lane as well. Of course, we're right down the end of the pit lane as well, which makes things even better as George Russell, last weekend's winner, opting to stay out there. Mercedes definitely haven't quite got the pace they did just one weekend ago, but Charles Leclerc, did he pick up front wing damage from that battle with Max Verstappen? Because he's way further back than I was expecting him to be in this Grand Prix. I reckon Leclerc picked up damage, because we got to be so careful on pit exit here. Yeah, Charles Leclerc has definitely lost out more than I was expecting him to through the pit window, although he is still going to be close behind Max Verstappen. He is, however, going to come out behind Ricciardo as cold rubber. That is not fun, as Tsunoda and Vettel, whoa, apparently squabbling just behind me through the loop, as I think Vettel, around the outside of young Yuki, will gain the place there. But yeah, Charles Leclerc now ahead of Ricciardo as well, as Mick Schumacher trying to get involved in all of the commotion. But yeah, Leclerc now ahead of Ricciardo once more, so plenty of chopping and changing, and we've just got to build up heat in the rubber and get on with it. There we go. K-Mag into the pits as well, as now somehow Schumacher's done a double overtake in the Williams, running in the lofty heights of P7 for young Mick there, but yeah, no idea what's going on between Vettel and Yuki, as one German moves up to 7th, the other one's completely dropped off my radar as Lance strolled into the pits in front of us, so Seb's going to have to go for another lap then around this Silverstone circuit on a very worn now set of the medium tyres. But we've got our tyres up to temperature, and we are going to still be comfortably in the lead then as we head back out of the pit lane here. 13 laps to go from Silverstone. Half distance has now been ticked off, but there is still a lot of things that could chop and change. But for us, we just really need to try and lead this race from the front, as now Vettel's got between Perez and Verstappen as well. The Dutchman cannot catch a break today. In fact, no, Sebastian Vettel's going for it on Sergio Perez there. Has to concede the place on the exit of the loop, but love that from Sebastian. Now, he might not have the car that can do it, but any opportunity, he's a racing driver. You try and take him. Was not expecting that, but okay, new fastest lap of the day. There's 11 laps to go then here from Silverstone. Often my pace on the hard tyres historically around this circuit has not actually been that good, but at the moment we seem to be doing enough to keep the gap to Perez. You know, we're just trying to keep him at arm's length. I'm very much expecting those Red Bulls to have another battle before the end of this race, so maybe Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo potentially eyeing up an opportunity. As look at that gaggle of cars. I mean, when you exclude us, we've got, what, both Red Bulls, both McLarens, a Ferrari, both Mercs, both Alpines, and Kevin Magnussen that could have all potentially been in the battle for the lead here. Formula 1 at the moment, it's very, very unpredictable in this Haas Road to Glory. I think it's a bit underrated just how unpredictable it can be, but for us, 6-second lead, 10 laps to go. We've just got to try and bring this thing to the flag. It might not be the most exciting end to a British Grand Prix, but honestly, we just need redemption from last weekend. There we go again. Verstappen now trying to make a move on Sergio Perez for P2 in this Grand Prix. Is again, somehow, I mean, we're consistent, but we are setting new fastest laps each time we come through, as I think now Verstappen has actually pulled off the move entirely this time around. Sergio Perez might be able to get a run on him down the Wellington Straight, but has the Dutchman now finally done enough there? Let's look at Kevin Magnussen all over the back of Charles Leclerc and his Ferrari. Nice to see the upgrades that we are bringing are helping Kevin. He might have had a torrid qualifying once more, but maybe, yeah, we just cut him a bit of slack if he can recover to a decent finishing position this weekend. There's still a small part of me that believes we could fight for the Constructors in the second half of the campaign there, but I think Verstappen now has done enough to get ahead of Sergio Perez. 7 seconds, though, in 8 laps is a tall order. But the Dutchman, of course, just worried about the long game, means he'll only lose 7 or 8 points here, rather than 10 or 11. I genuinely don't know how I'm doing this. I don't feel like I'm pushing particularly aggressively, but that's 3 fastest laps in a row. I suppose now we have actually got to get on with it, because Verstappen, I'm sure, will be able to unleash a little bit of extra pace in that Red Bull. So I guess we probably should do one where I really go all out. Well, I have actually deliberately done a push lap this time around then of the British Grand Prix circuit. Of course, it's highly unlikely the AI will go for it until the final lap, but a 28.8, I'll take that absolutely at the moment. Just kind of, you know, says to Max, if you want to go for it, mate, you're going to have to work for it. There is the gap now up to 8 seconds, 7 laps to go here from Silverstone. Let's just bring this thing to the line. Even if we don't get the fastest lap, I don't think we could have gone much quicker than that. What? Hey? I wasn't trying that time round. The fuel burn must just be ridiculous around Silverstone. I genuinely was not trying to go for fastest lap that time. We hadn't even gone purple in any of the sectors, but it just must have been a more well-rounded lap. I'm accidentally setting fastest laps here. I mean, there's not many nicer problems to have, I suppose, in Formula 1. But that was quite uncalled for. We've gone purple again! What's going on? I genuinely don't know what to say anymore. I'm not going for him. We're using the battery down the straights, of course, but I'm not trying to push. And every time round, we just seem to get the lap slightly more dialed in than the last. Like I said, there's not many nicer problems to have in the world of Formula 1, but it's obviously tempting just to try and go for it again. Well, starting the final lap then of the British Grand Prix, and please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think this might be our 6th different winner in the last 6 Grand Prix. I'm trying to rack my brains, of course, where the Haas Road to Glory isn't consistent as the F1 My Team career mode. We're going to, well, as long as I don't do anything stupid, take the win today. Yeah, look at that Magnussen number to P5 as well there. Hats off to him. We're going to take the win today. George Russell won last time out in Canada. Perez won the time before that in Baku. I think Monaco was Charles Leclerc. Spain, I think, was Verstappen. So it's, sorry, 5 different winners in the last 5 Grand Prix is not a bad little run to have in the F1 Haas Road to Glory there. And like I said earlier on, you know, I think this series is underappreciated for just how unpredictable it has been so far in this campaign. But round in the final few corners here from Silverstone, one thing has certainly been predictable this afternoon, and that was from about lap 8 onwards, that we were going to try and take home this race victory there. 11 seconds the gap to Verstappen as we round this final lap here. Red Bull gave us a good run early on, but yeah, we've just been at 1 with the car here today. Redemption for last weekend, of course, in Canada. Felt like we should have had the pace to fight for the win there as well. But round in the final few corners, even Magnussen is trying to make another overtake happen there on Lando Norris a bit further back. But through the final turns, it's going to be the home race victory for us at the British Grand Prix. Absolutely love that.
We did it! Oh, that's the race win! That is the race win! You've been amazing today, mate. You deserve that. Well done.
Brilliant stuff from Haas today. What a superb victory. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
There aren't many teams, as they come out onto the podium now, who could do what Haas have managed to accomplish here. It's hard to believe how competitive they've already become. Amazing victory. Let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Well, that lead at the top has somewhat shrunk today. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Well, I certainly didn't have any complaints with Kevin Magnussen's performance today. Incredible driving.
Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, the end of the British Grand Prix. And pole position, fastest lap, race victory. It looked pretty plain sailing on paper there, but, you know, we did certainly have some struggles early on in the GP, and it was lucky I did push for that fastest lap when I did, because Perez was only a 1/10 of a second away there, come the checkered flag. Max Verstappen, though, comes through for P2 ahead of Sergio. Lando Norris does hang on again. Lando Norris is always right there, or thereabouts, ahead of Kevin Magnussen. Ricciardo, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton and Albon will round out our top 10 from this weekend. And yeah, Kevin Magnussen, I've got to give him some credit where it's due. That was a very, very good race when he started P12 on the grid there. Only Carlos Sainz failed to make it to the checkered flag, but that means championship-wise, suddenly now, a bit of a gap between the top two and the rest of the field then at the top of the standings. Charles Leclerc now 27 points back behind Max Verstappen. We're just 6 back as we leave our home GP there. Perez now 9 points away behind Charles Leclerc as well. And yeah, Lando Norris on 111 points there, looking pretty in P5 as well. Magnussen still in 8th place there, just behind George Russell. Don't think we've got any other movers further down the rostrum. Constructors-wise, though, somehow we've now jumped Ferrari. 1 point in it between ourselves and the Maranello-based squad, of course, who are still supplying our power units. Sure, there might be a little bit of tension there between the two teams as well, but if we could somehow outscore Ferrari this year, I would walk away a very, very happy man. Thank you all so much for watching this video though, and we will be back next year when F1 Haas Road to Glory returns to the Austrian Grand Prix. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.